This is a notice of regular meeting, Thursday, August 13th at 2026 at 6:30 PM. We are at the Old Stockman's Bank. This meeting's now called to order. City Secretary, can you call roll, please? Here. 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 Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There goes the train. Sorry, I gotta check the. I forget to check the view. No. All right, the topic on number 4 is citizens to be heard. City Secretary, you said we don't have any? No one to be heard? Is there anybody in the office that maybe forgot to sign up and would like to be heard? Okay, I have no hands. Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on to motions to be approved. And David, did we want to do number 6 first, or did we want to go ahead and do?
Let's put it to it for the end of reading.
All right, sounds good. So I'm going to move number 6 up over number 5, and this is to discuss and consider an act on a letter of engagement for professional project financial management service from Beth Jane, CPA, and your CFO to go to provide development contract monitoring services, reimbursement and accounting, and regulatory compliance for the purpose of local government chapter 380 agreements, and to assist in monitoring tax abatements.
Started. Just like to give you a little background on this. Miss Jane is an acquaintance of mine. Actually, is a friend of mine. She does business with me. She's done business with me for years, and she has basically a financial officer boutique type business. And when we talked about the cyber digital thing, the the issue came up of who's going to stay on top of this. And I had suggested her. I've talked to you about her. She and Jeff Snowden have discussed this, and I think one of the things that was important was that they have an interface with the comptroller's office, because that's where all that money's going to be going, and then it's going to be apportioned. And when I spoke to Jeff and the Beth vote, Jeff's response to me, and it's almost a quote, was, if she has access to the comptroller's office, then she's worth her weight in gold. That's literally what he said. And you can use anybody you want to. I'm just saying this is someone I know. They're a remote service. You're not going to have to bring somebody in here. And I'll just let her tell you the rest of it.
And before she comes online as well, this is to try to put together a team.
That's part of it. But the biggest thing is, once we make that deal with whoever it is we're going to make the deal with, who's going to monitor that thing?
And so that would be part of that team.
Where's the money going? What's coming in? How many megawatts do they have? All of those things, the compliance with the making sure that the reporting's going out, that the requests that they're going to be submitting, the detailed confidentiality report type thing for sales tax. That's going to be a nightmare trying to stay on top of that stuff. And we at the city have a small staff. I don't think we have anybody at the city who has the faintest idea how to deal with this. And the only way that we can do it is to find either her firm or some other firm that's going to be doing this. Now, one of the things that I think you would like to see is to have very frequent reports that can be put on the website. Here's the stuff. Everybody can see it. We can write articles about it. Whatever we need to do, it has to be out there. And then 7 years into it, so well, what happened on November 3rd, 2029? And we'll be able to say, oh, here you go. And we'll be able to see those things. It's critical. We're talking about money that heretofore didn't even exist in the city's wildest imaginations. And we've got to get it right. We cannot business as usual with this one. And I'm really glad that, when it first came, I was like, who's going to do this? And then Jeff, I thought, oh, yeah, of course. And I visited with him probably 10 days ago. Say, hey, look, we need somebody to monitor this. And so that's really where, and whatever y'all decide is fine. I just want you to know that it's available.
Is this the same company that and I know it's not on the agenda topic, but to refresh my memory, is this the same company that could do part of our HR and stuff, or is that they, oh, okay. And this is very important, I think, to this council as well, because everybody's best interest is our citizens in our city. And so absolutely need that team player that we have.
When Miss Jane speaks, I think one of the important things for you to ask her, what's her background? Let her tell you the company she's worked for and the things that she's done. This is not just in the United States. This is across the world that she's had that kind of experience. So I'll leave you with that.
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for joining us. One more. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to meet you and speak with you all. Appreciate the opportunity a lot. Yeah, just to give some background, I started out in public accounting, but then quickly went into industry. I've worked for a lot of large companies, was CFO of various size companies, was also in the travel industry for quite a while in senior roles for multi-billion-dollar companies, and was the CFO of Forever 21 when we were expanding internationally and getting into a lot of regulatory and other compliance reporting. Certainly, we entered 35 new countries while I was there, so it was exciting and very different. After that experience, I decided I really wanted to have my own business and had enjoyed supporting smaller organizations and really wanted to be that, full back office support. And so we now have 2 CPA firms. So, I wanted that credibility of having the certification, but we provide HR, payroll, finance, accounting, tax, as well as the reporting, the financial planning and analysis, CFO advisory level work. We have a lot of nonprofits that we work with. We actually work with 14 charter schools. So we do a lot of government compliance reporting, as well as all of the fund accounting. Have had stellar audits with all of our schools and understand, the importance of that. All of our information for them is published also publicly. Full transparency. Obviously, I haven't worked with this specific type of project, but I know that it's really important for you guys to have someone who is independent. Likely best to have someone independent of your internal staff, obviously, as well as the developer, just to, again, provide that credibility and the independence around the reporting and the audit. I have a pretty substantial tax practice. So again, a lot of compliance reporting, a lot of deadline-driven, tasks that we have. So we have sophisticated systems that help provide the workflow, the tracking to make sure there's going to be importance to, obviously file the agreement once it's completed, and then any amendments that happen afterwards. Also, there's penalties if you don't do it timely. So we do have that discipline and have worked certainly with a lot of different government agencies and through government reporting. I did put together a kind of a long proposal, which does have the background. I have, it's not stated in here, we have a team of about 32. About 50% of our staff are certified and high level performers. There's a shorter version that was a PowerPoint that you guys may have had also, which really just talks about the 5 areas of, what the services would be. And, it's during the contract, we're around to help with reviewing and certainly to set up and maintain the compliance calendar. We would be supporting the reimbursements. There will be all of the submissions from the developer that will need to be validated with invoices and receipts. Then the accounting, obviously the reporting around the 380 and the 312, and the tax abatement monitoring as well. There's 2 phases. It's going to be a whole lot more intense during the construction phase. So there's a range on the fees, because I think it would be important to review the final agreement and be able to fine tune that number. We generally, with our clients, work with an hourly fee and then, provide a flat value fee once we know exactly what everything entails. Once the construction is done, there'll be, really a known amount of effort, a known amount of what the fee would be. So on a forward basis, a annual fee could be determined and submitted for approval, and then just a monthly billing for that. Let's see. So I think, that really kind of covers it. I think there's a section in the long proposal where I talk about the systems, and we always approach things to try and, kind of meet the client where they are. So the best situation would be obviously if, revenue and information is tracked in your system of record that you use now. We have, as I mentioned, a workflow system that would help us stay on top and make certain that everything is being done timely. Amendments are filed timely. Information is reported to, the county appraisal district, all of that, so that there's not any kind of slippage at all in reporting due dates.
So Mayor, one of the things that Jeff has told me is that they will be replacing the servers every minimum 5 years, maybe sooner than that. Stuff coming in, stuff coming out. We had an EDC meeting today. ET was telling us that they may be flying the servers into the airport, and they may need warehousing out there to bring these things in and out. Keeping track of all of that, serial numbers, and which one's coming in and which one went out, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of work. Jeff did also tell me that, at least for the initial setup, that they are going to submit a request to the developer to have them fund those costs as part of our due diligence, like making them pay for it. I'm sure they'll ask for a credit somewhere for what they pay, but at least up front there wouldn't be any cost. I'm not sure, and I know Beth had a discussion with Jeff where we go from here. I know Jeff is going to be on later. My understanding when I talked to him was that, if everything went exactly the way it should, that he perfectly 45 to 60 days, to get this thing rolling, which is not much time. The other thing, if you have kept up with the news, all the data centers are controversial, not only in Texas, but across the country. You can expect that the legislature this session is going to do something with them, and there's going to be compliance issues. We're going to have to follow up on it. That whole integrated who's doing what kind of thing. We need to really to reduce the total number of people that are touching the project so that we know who's responsible. Like, where is that? Why is that not here? And getting those kinds of reports. I know with our new council members and our old council members, they want to see the numbers. They want to see the data. They don't want just a bunch of raw numbers that mean nothing. We need to be able to make projections on our budgeting. We need to be able to make projections on our tax rate because it's going to affect our tax rate as well. All of those things work one in hand with the other. And I think if we can afford to do it, and honestly, we can't afford not to, we've got to have this kind of expertise, not only with the Chief Supply, with Jeff supplies, and maybe others, I don't know. Once the agreement's done, I think Jeff's gone, right? Agreement, I've done my part, bye. Then it becomes reporting.
And documenting and tracing and following the money and making sure that we're all accountable.
We have a hard enough time here with, these, whatever they call those things, the game rooms.
Yeah.
Moving machines around. Can you imagine?
And our hotels.
I don't even, and what Beth said at the beginning, she didn't know that much about it. Nobody knows that much about it. These are a new animal. These are things that just have popped up within the last few years and have finally gotten to Texas. So it's a new industry that is still evolving, and it's going to be more regulated because of the money involved.
So we're working to get that proper team in place. Got it. They know us. They're coming. We want to do the best for our community. What do we know about them? Does anybody have that?
Just from what I've researched myself, and it is a well-established company with a lot of capital and a lot of investors backing them. And that's the best I can really say, and that they are a big player in the industry. They seem very serious. I will tell you that the first preliminary meeting that we had with them consisted of me, the judge, and Yvette Utley. And we were able to, talk to them and convince them to use our wastewater versus our actual fresh water. That was a big milestone because the two things that are complaining about data centers is power and water. Well, they agree to use our wastewater and they're bringing their own power with us. So we're not going to take anything off our system or do anything with our system. So they're going to be connected with a different grid.
That was another question we had.
They've invested in this area already, about a half mile down the road, into a $5.6 million electrical power station to supply to them. That is totally off of our grid. And they're not going to be able to tap with the water that we have currently, right? Well, that's the thing I want to explain also. No, if they're in the city limits, we can make agreements to where they use our wastewater. If they don't like the deal that the city offers, well, they can say, hey, I'm going to go to the other side of 35 and I'm going to go ahead and do this over here. And Texas law says the law of the biggest well. I'll go ahead and I'll pop my own hole and I'll take all the water I want. There's nothing you can do about it. That's the options that they have. They've been very proactive with us, and they said, we want to be in your community. We want to help your community. And we are willing to use your wastewater versus taking your precious resource.
So the one thing that we do want you to know, I've been doing a little research myself, and I'm sure some of you would have as well, I hope. Our responsibility is to our community. Absolutely, right? This could be a game changer. True. So we're telling all the truth. From what David's told me and what he's met with them, and Yvette, I asked her the same question. They're a reputable company in the industry, and that they're a responsible company, which means what? They're looking at their own power grid and they're looking at reusing water. which is something that's gonna come in our future anyway of reusing water. Steve and I talked, I think it was you, Steve, that told me that one of these companies uses less water than a golf course.
That was probably David. 'Cause he
Okay.
said the same thing today.
So a golf course uses like 100 times more or something to that effect.
I heard that today too, and I believe it was E.T. Page that said that.
Okay.
And he says that, yes, they use about 100 times more, and nobody will ever turn down a golf course. My concern is as long as it doesn't, mess with the quality of life in our city, I'm okay with it.
And that would be our power grid and that would be our water. And so the one thing you do need to do is they are gonna get good fresh water too, but it's just for drinking and toiletries and things like that.
That
But
makes-
not for cooling the database itself.
Well,
Miss,
they-
there-
they-
is
look
there-
to get their legislature.
Right,
That's-
anyway.
That's how.
Is there anything that we can get it like in black and white that they will not touch our fresh water?
That's what that is.
That's the thing. Okay,
So the thing is
I-
that if they build on the Kemosabe property, that property is outside of the city, but it is in city limits. It was annexed several years ago. We will have the authority to make those concessions. If they decide to build in the county, we lose all that authority.
the way I got it that they're gonna reuse that same water that they're working on, right?
Right.
That means that's the wastewater.
Right, and they're gonna actually be here at the next council meeting on the 27th, and this may be a question to ask them. But what I have researched is that they have new technology where they'll use several 100,000 gallons of water to charge the system. And then they use a small amount after that. So, around about 12,000 gallons a day.
Those are all details of the agreement with Miss Jane. It's like, okay, if we get the agreement, then the compliance part starts. But one of the things that I want to make darn sure of is when we're negotiating, when we're doing the 380 agreement, we need to do our due diligence on these guys. She would know how to do that, with the working with publicly traded companies. Where are your whatever filings you do with the SEC and, do these guys, are they for real? For everything that we've seen, they seem to be, but we don't know them.
And the thing is, the biggest thing is that it takes a team. It can't be David. It can't be me. It can be us. It has to have a team. You have to have a team, a knowledgeable team. You need a finance person. And that was my question to David. Yes, David's going to be there, but you need a finance team. Utley's prepared to step up to her game. It's going to take somebody looking what they're doing in the background. It's going to take somebody looking what they're doing in the foreground and what we're doing as well, because we're going to rely on Steve for that legal sense. And so we want to be covered. We want our city to be covered and we want our citizens to be covered. But this could actually be a game changer if it's done right and appropriate.
What does this project benefits our town? How would it benefit our town?
Right now, should I disclose that? Okay, right now the proposal on the table is a $480 million facility with $1.5 billion of servers inside. The servers would count towards our sales tax because the city will require them point of origin, the city of Cotulla as the purchase place. So we would get sales tax money off of that. The $480 billion would go to our ad valorem. Our current ad valorem is $225 million for the entire city. So you're doubling to triple, you're doubling our the property tax coming in, which gives
That's
the
just-
city.
David, that's just the building.
Yeah, that's just the building.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about service.
And the thing too is that the other thing of having the financial person involved from the beginning is, are there red flags?
Yes.
Is there something that doesn't add up? Can these guys deliver? None of us here would know that. I don't know that. I make agreements. I'm not an auditor. I don't know what.
A 10-year agreement, we're looking at approximately $50 million to the city. They're looking for 20 years. But after a 10-year agreement, we will go back to the table and renegotiate. Because there is also a depreciation factor that we need to pay attention to and take into consideration. So first year, second year, third year is really good, but then the equipment that they have starts to depreciate to a point where it has no value, and we're not making money at that point. So we need to take that into consideration.
Yes, sir, Mr. Alvarado. I have a question in regards to the tax monies and when they build a facility, granted the properties around it are gonna skyrocket up. How will it affect the taxes of the citizens of Cotulla as far as their property taxes and stuff?
Can't answer that. I don't have that answer yet.
I think this is more of what a Mr. Flores type question, but
Yeah.
if you increase the base, then the debt service and the maintenance and the operation that you need currently, you're gonna have a lot more taxable property. So the rate should go down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. So when you correct, when you're bringing in double the ad valorem, that's the point where your property tax would drop for the community. Now I need to leave it at that for negotiation purposes, but
Yeah, we can't promise these things, but my concern, and I said it today at the EDC meeting, I know Mr. Flores was there and the judge was there. We gotta get this right the first time, period. There is no margin for error in this big of a deal. And that's why I think the two people that I, have spoken to, Beth and Jeff, are indispensable. Who else we might need, I don't know. We've got engineering involved in it already, because they're wanting to run a pipeline for the sewer plant.
well, I've talked to Stacy Barnett, City and Smith, which we currently have a contract with. One-call contract. And the reasoning for that was the reuse line from the wastewater plant to the facility to supply the water. So there was a question mark that the city provides the construction for the line, and I told Jeff that's not a problem, but they weren't taking it.
So the other thing is that, there's other teams that are coming to the table, of course. I know we have, and I'm blank on his name, but, Terry, what is his last name? I believe so. He's already working with Divine. So we're gonna have to hear a couple of more people to make sure that we have the appropriate team in place. And I think you said you're having lunch with them or gonna talk to them or somebody.
Yes, the plan, me and the judge are gonna have lunch with the gentleman.
Good.
He's working
Okay.
he's working for David Jordan.
Who's what?
He's working for David Jordan in Divine? Yes, okay.
So
I know.
that's another team player, and that's a gentleman who's already worked for Microsoft, and that's somebody who already knows how to put together databases. So what this council needs to do, and it's all of us, and we're representing our citizens, and it's in their best interest that we put the appropriate team together, right? So that we cover all those bases and any questions that we have, and even questions we don't know we have yet, that are asked by somebody and people who know.
And somebody who could stay involved in the project as it evolves over the years, because there's going to be a lot of things that are gonna affect new laws, new regulations, new taxes. Who knows what they're gonna do? We certainly don't. We don't know what our legislature is gonna do.
I agree with Mr. Peña. We have to get it right about that, and this is very serious. I mean,
Is this something that, since we already have Yvette kind of in line doing stuff for us, that she can be involved in to kind of help?
Yeah, sure.
She was there today at the EDC meeting.
Here,
Well, since we already have her on,
We do.
utilize her as much as possible.
I know Jeff's there and he can tell us about this reimbursement thing.
Can we continue with the agenda?
Well, sure, I mean, it would just be to accept the proposal. You haven't entered it in.
You don't look at service for but you guys could actually vote on it.
I have a question. So what is the maximum financial exposure on this? Because I'm seeing all these rates, okay? And that's gonna be pretty big monthly payments. And for how long are the monthly payments? And because right now I'm uncertain of how healthy we are financially. I've been asking for that. So I'm agreeing with that gentleman that you were talking about. We need to hear some other people that already know how to do all of this stuff. And I'm sure Miss Jane is good at this, but she mentioned that she is not familiar with this kind of stuff. And what Mr. Peña is saying, and you're saying, that we need to get a good team because we need to have a good stable for our community. So I think we need to look with other people that can probably be able to offer us that know more about these data centers.
Yeah, in the situation of Miss Jane, we could go out for RFQ. We have time. We got the facility, we got till there, if everything is approved and they're talking second quarter 27 when they break ground and start construction. So there's definitely time to do that for that aspect. Yes, the other thing is we're gonna require them, we're gonna require them to pay for all consultant fees that the city incurs.
Yeah,
So-
because I was just a little worried when I saw this rate
Yeah.
and stuff, hours monthly, 8,500 per month.
When,
I mean,
Yeah,
that's,
that have to be negotiated. I agree.
Well, we have something
Yeah, that's
to do.
Yeah.
You know, we have no bill because there's.
no, but I'm looking long-term.
The
Looking
thing is
forward.
that, yes, absolutely. The thing is that somebody needs to be in place in a financial standpoint to be able to help us through all of this
Yes.
too.
And I will say, excuse me, the basis for the estimates are, I mean, it is an estimate, and a whole lot more precise quote could be done, actually seeing what the agreement is. How frequently are reimbursements going to be requested, kind of the volume that would be expected. So, this is just a range and an estimate, without having the full knowledge of where the final contract will end.
And then even if you do RFQs and get another financial person, unless they've actually have already done this team effort, they're not going to know what to charge because we don't know everything it's going to entail to do so. Right? Request for qualification, yeah.
So even before, I think you have to separate the project into two phases, the negotiation part and the implementation. So I still feel like we need to have a highly credentialed financial person to make sure these people are for real. Do they have the money? Can they do the things that they say they can do? And that is important because the city may negotiate a great deal, but if these guys hold up after 2 years and because they go bankrupt or something else happens to them, we don't know, and that's the issue.
The only one I haven't heard from is Mr. Garcia. Do you have anything to add?
the company that the data center, that's the Cypher,
Sniper Digital.
Digital. I tried to do a little bit of research on them today. I didn't get a whole lot of information that made me feel comfortable, without asking a lot more questions. And I know we're trying to do other aspects of this, but,
They are coming to the meeting, writing.
They're gonna be here at the next council meeting with them.
oh, okay.
They're gonna bring their team.
Getting back to what the mayor says, you have to break it up. The negotiation, make the deal, make sure these are people we want to do business with. Then,
It's like we're gonna.
yeah, switching gears and going into it. So whoever is going to be involved with those negotiations, who's ever going to look over those financials, who's going to look over the things that they're going to submit, the due diligence as they call it, we need to know because we don't have anybody else here that can do that.
Ms. Jane, I just to can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just to help our council so that we can decide how we move forward. What is your confidence level in being able to mitigate what is coming forth upon this city and our council?
We have wide breadth of experience and have certainly been involved in contract negotiations and ensuring that risk are mitigated. We also have supported 5 of our schools through pretty big facilities developments, not to the tune of 480 million, obviously. But we do have schools that are in total are generating, several hundred million in revenue annually and, tracking grants and, just a lot of moving parts, just like what you're going to go through here. So I have a very high confidence level that we can support the project. As Steve said, there's not a whole lot of people I think that you're going to find who have done this yet because it is fairly new. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny, and I agree. You definitely want to have your good team in place.
One more question. Might be a wrong question, but what's the rush? Why can't we do this appropriately so that we're comfortable? Because at this point, I'm not comfortable with it. Okay. So why is this such a rush? And I didn't even know you were communicating to dealing with these data centers, because on the agenda, it didn't say data centers. So we weren't being transparent to the community that it didn't say data centers because they wouldn't know unless they had this packet. I didn't know until I read the packet that it had to deal with data centers. So to me, we weren't being transparent to our community exactly what we were going to be doing. So for me right now, it might pass with y'all, but I can't do it because we are responsible financially and we're responsible for our people, for the future of our people. I need guarantee that they will not use our water. They will use our whatever needs to, because I'm looking forward. I'm going to be dead by then, but our people, our young ones, is it going to affect? I need explanation. I need to understand.
Yeah, those contracts will come to council. There's gonna be a bunch of contracts and a bunch of guarantees that are gonna be developed, and they will also come to council.
What hearings?
Yeah, there's gonna be town hall meetings, and there's gonna be a lot of things involved with this, correct?
That's why I asked earlier, I wanted in black and white that they will not touch our fresh water.
When do you expect to, now that I guess the cat's out of the bag, about the data center here in Cotulla area, when do you expect the town meeting could be, held?
Depending on Cipher Digital, because they have offered to host all the town meetings and do all of that. They will speak on it when they come on the 27th.
You think we could relocate to another facility?
Absolutely. I think at that point, we were looking to do the civic center. We'll do a temporary,
So we might have a pretty good crowd or something like that.
when we do a town hall. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's 15.
Right. Absolutely. So I guess, my question on acting on the letter of engagement, is proposed to you. I don't know.
You can deliver, yeah, whatever you want to do. I'm saying what the reason the hurry is Jeff's telling them 45, 60 days.
Yes,
That's
not a lot.
that's a compressed schedule. These guys, they've shown up here. I've never met with them. I don't know who they are, but they're wanting to move forward with it. And unfortunately, they have their timeline, and
I'd like to hear from them, the people from Cipher Data, before I make a decision on trying to involve all these other people, just to get a feel for what they're talking about, and
So if we did, request RFQ, what is the timeline, David?
You gotta fix the coach. Gotta come down. An RFQ today, yeah. My recommendation for administration, I say give her a tentative approval, and if she's required, then we'll use her. If not, then we'll go ahead and we'll continue with the RFQ process.
Can we do that? Can we do that? Give her.
one person for one round, but
Correct.
My thing is, I think, and I want to make sure the council understands, is this is a two-step process. Make the deal, implement the deal. They're not the same thing. And again, I've said it at least twice, and I'm gonna say it again. We need to know who we're dealing with. We need to see those letters of credit. We need to see these guys got the money. They appear to be for real. I'm not saying that they're not. But it's like dealing with oil companies. You don't know who you're dealing with, right? You know, they come here and promise you $10,000 an acre bonus and all this stuff. You know, they may be a fly-by-night company that has no money. I don't think that's the case here.
I know they've had their eye on Cotulla since 2024. They actually had their eye on Cotulla prior to that when they were doing business 10 years ago.
So what is the impact of not acting on the letter of engagement today?
Well, then if we have a need to say they show up next week with a bunch of documents, we were gonna send it to you.
We're not gonna have to.
Right.
They need to have something like that.
Me, send it to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the question to you guys. That's where I understand that we would like more time, but it doesn't seem like we have that kind of time.
It seems to me that, you know, this was kind of kept us in the dark till the last minute where we have to be kind of pushed into back ourselves into a corner where we have to make a decision. And I don't like that feeling, you know, if we'd have had a little bit more time to, understand what's going on in the community and everything, I just don't like being pushed into a corner where I have to make a decision based off of one person, you know, input on this.
Now, we're talking about, what if they get up and leave, you know, and go bankrupt and everything? Okay. Can we also get it on black and white that they're gonna have to pay what they say and make it more, make that deal more secure? I mean,
We need a team, we need a team, we need a team. I don't have a team. I got me.
I need a team. You need a team.
We need to have somebody. Just because you approve it doesn't mean you're gonna use them. But you can say, well, we don't need you right now, we'll need you later. We've got you, we've gone through the process of.
The whole process to get somebody right now, at least if they come in, we got somebody to represent the city of Cotulla. You know what I'm saying? That's.
And I think some of your questions will also be answered when Jeff does his presentation. So
Yes, let's get to that. That's a good idea.
move on to Jeff,
Yay.
come back and vote.
And then come back and present the five of it.
Yeah,
Does that work with everyone?
yes.
So this is going to be a table, but it's just going to lay for right now until we continue to listen out to Jeff. So we will be coming back to number 6. Now moving on, we're going to go ahead and get with Jeff. And this is to discuss and consider an act on a letter of engagement for professional services between CAPEX Resource Group and the City of Cotulla for consulting services of ongoing projects. And it is the AI database, okay? Yeah.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council people. I've submitted a proposal to help you work this application. I've reviewed the application. Their tax consultant, Garrett Peters, I've worked with him several counties around the state, including Webb County. So they have hired a reputable firm with K.E. Andrews to draft up their abatement application. The numbers that Mr. Wright quoted earlier are spot on, about $480 million for the building infrastructure, and then another $1.5 billion for the servers. The servers, by the way, will be owned by another entity, not Cipher Digital. It'll be a tenant to Cipher Digital. So they'll come to us with their own requests. So anyway, I've drafted up my engagement letter, and what you'll see in there is I've written up that I will draft a consulting funding agreement and present that to Cipher. And we'll ask them to put some money up front to offset my cost, CDM's engineering costs for the design of the treated effluent line from the sewer plant to Kimosabi. Assorted legal, if we, whatever, we want them to pre-fund your expenses. And I've already disclosed that to them and they were receptive to that idea. So in a nutshell, what y'all have, what I'm proposing to do for you is review their application, draft the abatement agreements, get guidance from you throughout on terms, de-risk this revenue. There's a lot of ways that this revenue over the 10-year abatement period can really be decreased. Without an abatement agreement, they have 10 years to challenge values every year through your ARB. They have 10 years to ride your tax rate down, which will drop. The gentleman asked earlier, what's the impact? Due to the compression law, the way the compression works for your tax rate, when you add this kind of value, the math only works one way. Your tax rate drops. So we'll try to limit some of that drop for the purpose of the data centers cost. We'd like to engineer that to where it benefits single family residential, but keep the data center up at a higher level. We can do that through a hybrid pilot system and a structure of pilots, payment in lieu of taxes, and traditional abatement. So my job is to draft that up, get your guidance throughout, negotiate with their tax rep, and ultimately get y'all to an agreement. I can give you a lot more detail, but I want to be respectful of your time. Can I answer any questions so far?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If this project passes, in which way, with all that revenue that our city is gonna get, I mean, they're gonna help us. And what kind of way can the city use the money and building our roads, or what kind of are we able to use that money?
One
Drop the
obvious way,
taxes?
one obvious way is you can max out your homestead exemption. David, I don't believe you're maxed out, are you? I think the answer is no, and I think the county might have some room there as well. I suspect they will approach the county, but you can max out your homestead exemption. For example, you can direct it to street repairs and infrastructure. You can use it, some of it that'll go to the EDC. You can use that to incentivize retail like Walmart or HEB to come to town. You've got a lot of flexibility with the revenue.
I have a question.
So this will be an attraction as well, but it will not be touching our fresh water, and it will only be using our wastewater.
That's what we discussed with their tax rep. They say that the volume of treated effluent that comes from the sewer plant will be sufficient for their cooling needs for their servers. As far as domestic use, waters for the coffee shop, coffee station, and toilet flushing and so forth, they're forecasting a monthly consumption equivalent to about 3 to 5 single family residential units. So very limited. Average household in Cotulla is 7,000 gallons. So they may be using 30,000 gallons a month just for domestic purpose.
And this project will also help us improve all of our infrastructure on our city, right?
It certainly should. If you budget it and spend it in that direction, it definitely would. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I had a question.
I just have a couple, sir. I'm going through your letter here and it says, with the ongoing projects, is this going to be the only project you're going to be involved in? Or do you have others that,
Great question. This is the only one. If y'all want more, we'll do another engagement letter. Great question.
an additional question follow up, it's your proposal fee is not to exceed 30,000. Additional phases and fees will begin and expressed under. Is there any way that you'll do a flat fee throughout the project, or is this something that negotiated as we go along?
That 30 is the flat fee. That's what I will charge once we execute. They'll pre-fund it if we negotiate it right. And that's what I'll charge upon execution of the agreement. However, after we execute this agreement, if their tenant shows up wanting an abatement, which they more than likely will, and they want to restart negotiations from square one based on the tenant value, which is about 3 times what the building value is, I would want a new agreement to help you with that.
And if this passes, when will everything start, the whole project?
Okay. They expect it to be 12 months of construction with the building and infrastructure. I believe it was between 400 to 1,000 people in Cotulla daily working on this to have it built. So that's giving business to your hotels, your restaurants, and everybody here that owns a business is gonna have those people here purchasing from them.
So any other questions on number 5 for Jeff?
The only other question I have is that, will he want his fee up front, or will it be as it goes on?
That's a great question. That's a great question. The way I wrote my engagement letter, if the developer doesn't fund your consulting funding agreement with my fee plus others, then I would never invoice. That's the first thing they have to do. So if they don't ever do that, then you won't ever get an invoice from me. And if you do get an invoice from me, it'll be because they've already funded my fees as well as your engineering and others. So you shouldn't look at me as an expense. I should be paid for entirely by the developer.
Councilman Ayala, any questions from you?
So I do have a question to Jeff. Do you need somebody like Beth right now, or is this step 2 when we go into implementation?
Probably step 2.
Okay.
I have another question. When this project starts, are they gonna is the city's gonna start seeing something right there and then?
So their comment to me was, it's year 1, we'll see a little bit. Year 2, year 3, we're gonna see a whole lot, a big influx of money coming into the city. And then after that, it'll level off and it'll be about the same every year throughout the rest of the contract.
Around how much would every year would be más o menos?
If it was averaged out, it would be about $5 million a year for as long as they exist here in Cotulla.
Well, we could actually have a rainy day fund one. No, what we want to do is abate that and make sure that all our bills get covered and do the appropriate thing with that.
Essentially, the city of unrestricted.
But even just with the permits, it's gonna be a chunk of money.
And Mayor, the sales taxes, we want to compel them through the agreement that all sales taxable materials that they use during construction shall be cited in Cotulla in your tax jurisdiction, and the sales taxable event will be triggered when they place it in service in Cotulla at Kimosabe. So we want them, all the uplift from every window they buy, all the building materials that goes into this big facility, they can go buy that in San Antonio or Dallas, but they'll give the retailer a voucher. The sales taxable event will be triggered when that material is delivered to Kimosabe and placed in service, and the recipient of the local portion will be City of Cotulla.
That's repeat every time they change. The other thing, I know that you're very interested in other economic development. If you lower your property taxes here, guess what?
Business will
People are
come
gonna
in.
wanna come in here with commercial.
And this project, it will help out, reduce the tax, the excuse me, I'm sorry. The proper tax, the the tax money on the land, right?
Okay, good.
Okay.
It certainly will.
By a lot or?
Helps us as we think it will. Now, nobody knows for sure, nobody can read the future, but
Well, but so long as this council continues to stay on top of it, this is not a one-time shop and we go forward and no, this is gonna take work. This is gonna take work.
this may not be the only one.
Cause I do take this very, very serious. I mean, this is something that it has to be taken serious. You know, and
I think also kind of go back to the prior thing we talked about. Once we know what the deal looks like, we will probably be able to get a better picture of what compliance is gonna look like. So right now it's just a shot in the dark, like, well, yeah, we think it's gonna be this. But once we have a structured deal and we see the metrics that are in the deal, then the proposal can be tailored to that deal and for what it's going to require.
The thing is that I don't want false promises from businesses that
And that's why you have to have a team.
yes.
Everything comes to
I want to invite, Judge, is there any citizens' comment that you'd like to make that would facilitate a good decision? I know the judge and I worked very well together during our flooding and his guidance and we relied on the assets that the county, of course, were able to assist with. And I believe the judge might have that key. And I think we're gonna both continue to work hard for this community.
Yes,
And
and you know, like the mayor said, our citizens, our constituents are first in any project that the county brings into or brings into the city. I think we've sat down and we've talked, and I think we've established that about Mr. Terry Page. I think you know him, sir. And so we've had those communications with Terry Page. I'm building up our team. And, I think it's the opportunity was given to me. But at the time, I think Kimosabe was interested. So I handed it over to David and then the mayor. And I think it's a great proposal for the city, and especially if we do it correctly with, Blackwater, uh, them creating generating their own power, even if it's used with natural gas. There's so many other different options that if technology is expanding. So bringing this into the community is a game changer for the city. Developing your own police department, developing your own fire department, like this, developing even our hospitals and bringing in HEB, Walmart and stuff like this. So once this comes into play, I've been told that it's going to explode. That everything is going to be a game changer. So here's the opportunity, for y'all to step up and make it. Here is the time is now that we want Cotulla to grow. We want LaSalle County to catch up. Here it is, and it's in y'all's hands. You know, it's plain and simple. I mean, we've done the research. I think I'm building my team, and I know we've built a team between us and the city that is pretty strong, and we can just move forward from that.
so the foundation to our infrastructure and everything that comes through it. I'm not one of those people that like to count my chickens before they hatch. But even when you take care of chickens right, you got to feed them right. You got to nurture it. You got to build that foundation so that they have a good coop. That's what we're working on right now, is building that coop so that when and if it comes, and we pray that it comes, that we're ready for it, we're prepared to move forward, and that we start establishing. This is a game changer completely, even to the way this city had been established, the council had been established. The things of the past are going to be totally changed.
I mean, as long as it won't touch a fresh water, I'm for it.
And that's a guarantee that we can put it in black and white.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. Even if they start developing inside the county, I will not let them do without it being recycled water. That's my number one thing on the table. Recycled water, natural gas powered, and we can move from there. If not,
And
I'm
things-
throwing them off the table.
The way it sounds, that this is an opportunity to give our people what they've been wanting to
Yes, sir.
see. HEB, Walmart, urgent care hospitals, and other kind of business. More life for the community benefits and stuff. That our people won't have to travel a half an hour and everything. We'll have everything here, all the businesses here. This, yes.
And the great opportunity that me
And I'm
and the
for it.
mayor and Mr. Wright have established, we're using our same contractors. we're using Miss Yvette, I think, we're using, you know, all our team players are becoming the same team players for the best interest of our community, our constituents, and and betterment of LaSalle County.
Absolutely. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
So I do recommend that we bring Jeff on board because we need that guidance. He's the one that's got the time and yes. So
Yes.
the question to you is that we act on the letter of engagement for professional services between CAPEX Resource Group and the City of Cotulla for consulting services of an ongoing project, which is the database.
Quick function to bring Jeff and lady that was talking.
Well, this is number 5 only right now. So you make a motion that we bring CAPEX on board. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor of approving the letter of engagement with professional services between CAPEX Resource Group and the City of Cotulla, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
On the,
Motion carries.
This is just fee for services. You use her, you pay her. You don't use her, you don't pay her. And that's a little bit different than what Jeff's doing, because Jeff's actually going out and, you know, undertaking that part. But I think, to kind of follow up what the judge says, let's get some best practices. Let's put our best minds together when we deal with this again. When we had a meeting today with the EDC, ET Page said something that's very true, that the way that Cotulla gets along with the county is very unusual, that there's a great working relationship. And I can tell you that's not the case in a lot of counties. And if we can continue to work like this, we will bring these developments in that goes to the economic development that we've been talking about. There will be no shortages of demands for this money once it comes in. Getting property taxes lower will make every voter out there happy. But then police department, fire department, all that stuff. You'll use the money, believe me. But for
And a
now,
new foundation for our city.
That'd be awesome.
Our new foundation for our
Yep.
city.
I'm for it.
That's the biggest thing.
well, it's diversification. You're diversifying your economy. You're not tied to the cattle hunting and oil business. Now you've got tech coming in here. You've got ET telling us at the airport they're going to need warehouses out there.
Yep.
The stuff that they store out there, even before they install it, there's personal property taxes that will be assessed, and that airport is in the city limits.
You need the other 100 feet, EG. Moving on, I will bring back number 6 so we can move on through our agenda. Do I have a motion on, I'm making a motion on the letter of engagement with professional project financial management services from Ms. Jane, CPA. Do I have a second? All in favor of approving and moving on with the letter of engagement with professional financial management, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm abstaining.
Amen. Motion carries.
So getting back to one more thing before we go into the next item, the team that the mayor is talking about, you know, right now we've got Jeff, we've got the city manager, we've got the mayor, of course, myself, Albert. You know, this would be something I would like to see while we're in this process, as we have our meetings, that we keep bringing this back so that everybody here knows what's going on. You know, that we're not out there making deals, and obviously we can't make any deals until you approve it. But I don't like anybody ever saying, I didn't know, nobody told me. No matter what you do, you're gonna always have some of that. But to the extent that we can really commit ourselves to making sure that people who want to know and people who need to know are given the information.
Absolutely. I mean, media transparency, it's here. It's here. It's here. There's no way around it. We have to be present, we have to be truthful, and we have to be clear on what our intentions are. And transparency is of the utmost important. It's something that I live by, and you guys know that. I've been saying that for over 2 years now. So, um, absolutely, Ms. Nunez, Mr. Alvarado, I would want total updates always on when something new comes about.
To be involved in it.
Yes, absolutely. Because a team comes from all over the place. And something that I don't see, he may see, and something he may see you didn't see, and we all have to support each other.
Negotiating things as you got open meetings issues. You know, we can't just gather everybody else to meet with these guys. You know, you've got to post agendas and it makes it difficult. And
But-
it's intended to be difficult so that you're not doing things without people knowing it. But it does make it
Things
difficult.
like this, it's very, very important. Any differences we have with one another has to be out of that table. This decision here and here is for our people. That's the right way to do it.
Well, I want to say something.
Yes.
I'm abstaining because I'm not familiar with all of this. I'm not, okay? I'm not saying that I don't want to have economic growth because I do, always want to, but I'm not comfortable on my decision to be able to make that decision because I'm not educated on all of this stuff, okay? So that's why I'm not saying no, though abstaining is like a no, but I need more information. I want understanding, not just here. And you guys have been talking about it, but it should have been spoken to us earlier in phases, like you say. So forgive me if I'm wrong. I'll be the first one to admit it. But right now, I'm clueless about all of this. So I'm barely learning. So again, that's the only reason why I'm doing it.
And Mr. Alvarado, I understand that you feel a little rushed as well. And we want everybody to be comfortable with the decision. I'm not totally, I mean, I've been trying to do research and look and find and I sit there at home with open book because we want to make the right decision for our community. Absolutely. And what's being done with these two people right here with Jack and Jane, one, financial, no matter what, Ms. Jane has the financial background to be able to guide us in that direction. And two, Jeff is not getting paid anything if this doesn't come through.
Well,
So what do we got to lose there?
just to clarify, you know, I did my due diligence on Jeff. I did through background. I checked different people, so I was comfortable with that one. This Miss Jane, Miss Elizabeth, uh, I saw the agenda today at noon. That's when I got it. That's when it was emailed to me, and I'm like, where did this come from? So I'm like, that's why I abstained on it because I didn't have no information about her. Didn't have time today to even do any research on my own. So I don't feel comfortable with it being at the last minute, being asked to vote on something that I have no knowledge about. And that's
Do we have everything legal
Last week.
on Friday?
Yep. I don't know when stuff goes
I didn't
out.
get an email on it till noon today.
Although
But
as we keep reporting on that issue, I'm almost certain that I've put this in there in detail in the weekly report.
I would love nothing better than for the mayor to be able to pick up the phone and call you and tell you everything that's going on and then call her, but we can't do that. We're hamstrung by open meetings rules on how much we can communicate.
And I understand
And
that.
that
sir.
creates a problem.
My question is, I don't go on the city's website and look for things. I have my phone with me 24/7. When it chimes, I look at it. I got the email today, the agenda today at noon.
David, did we send it last week?
Well, I got one last week, but it wasn't that lady on here today.
It would have had to have been, 'cause when it was posted, we have to have it 3 business days. It has to go up Friday.
I got one for the 5th that didn't have her on there, and then I got one today that was posted on the 7th that had her on
With the 7th, that's Friday.
Friday.
That's Friday.
But I didn't get that email till today at noon.
You just saying that you didn't receive it,
I didn't receive
but
it.
it was posted.
It might
I
have been
saw- I
posted, but
knew-
I didn't see it.
Okay, we're getting off topic. We're getting back to the agenda. You're heard,
That-
understood.
that
We'll
could
do a
be
better
the
job.
case.
Yep.
If I have to send it to you myself, I'll send it to you.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
I sent them to her, I sent them to David.
I'm not against it. I just,
I understand. I totally understand. And I wish we could do the things that a normal business, but we're not a normal business. We're a public business, so we gotta have these meetings the way that we do. So I guess they're gone, right?
Just be very good.
Okay. We're good? All right, moving on to number 7. Discuss and consider an act on adopting guidelines and criteria for granting tax abatement in investment zones within the city of Cotulla. Whose topic is this? Dave? Okay. Jack? We'll get him back on. Juanita, if you'll ensure that everybody gets that email, please. Thank you. I agree. Thank you. So in the meanwhile, Steve, just ensure that we're getting it. I'm not able to see, I didn't know that not everybody got it because I'm not able to see who receives it because it would create a quorum.
I got it.
Yeah, so, we'll fix it. We'll fix it, Mr. Roberts. Yep.
They used to email, so, I'll send it to you. It won't have the packet, but it'll have the agenda.
He's not answering, the only guy that is doing actually, paperwork that is needed.
So we can move forward.
Yeah. To the association of the guidelines for, payments. Which is in the back.
I have no objections. They're just guidelines.
But are we able to see the guidelines and if anybody's got questions, will you be able to answer?
The applications.
Okay.
For you to grant tax statements, we never done. Not applicant work. Not like this. You have to designate how you designate reinvestments and all those things of that sort.
So what is the the zone right now?
It's, light industrial.
Light industrial. And what's coming in is what? Light industrial.
Light industrial. Yes.
Because this is just a step that you have to take so that you can even consider giving the tax abatement. This can be changed. It's not locked. It's just a policy.
But as council wants to be able to make a right decision, what information can you give us on this topic?
The chapter 312 of the Texas Tax Code governs tax abatements and 312 people, and it does require again, in my many years I've been here, we've never given them, never. We've done sales tax, but we've never, and we've done the tours, but we never did an actual outright abatement.
And a tax abatement, we were back and forth whether it was legal or not legal. What did
No,
you
they're
find out?
legal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the way that it's being, tax abatement funding. We can't, as a council and city, we can't say, oh, no, the city gave you lumber.
Very good.
What's gonna have to happen is, like, you have to do this agreement, and they're gonna have to pay the 2% to the city. And then they're gonna have to follow all of our guidelines on how to get a refund or a transact from the city every year. If they do not follow our guidelines, then they don't deserve it. So, and that's how we keep control of the project.
That's what's called a 380 agreement. Remember, we went to the training?
That's a component of the 380 agreement. And the 380 agreement that we have done in the past, there is an existing agreement at King Mosaba.
What expired in 2028?
Okay.
Mr. Penny,
Yes, sir.
is this a standard guideline, that?
This is
city-
Jeff's tax guy that put it together. So I don't mess with this stuff. I've never done it. And, you know, Mr. Snowden does them all the time. He's done them before. And he said he's had a tax consultant that he used for this.
Did you try him again?
It's just a guideline. We're not committing anything. We can repeal it tomorrow. You know. But you can't do an abatement unless you have a guideline. And the reason that you do that is because the state legislature and the public in general has often complained about tax abatement as giveaways, corporate giveaways. Why are we giving these rich companies money? Why aren't we spending it on something else? And so whenever you have the voters, the citizens complain about things, the legislature passes some rule that says, well, it doesn't say you can't do it. It just says, well, you got to do this and this and this and this and this. And if you do all those things, then you can do it. And then they go back to the voters and say, look what we did for you. And they didn't do anything for them because you could still give them the abatement. But they feel better about it because it's not seen as something that's, we give it to this guy, but we don't give it to that. But we give it to this guy, you know, things of that sort. And I see Mr. Snowden there, and he can probably fill you in better on.
Jeff, are you there?
Yes, good evening.
So we're on item number 7. This was to discuss and consider adopting a guidelines and criteria for granting tax abatements in reinstatement zones within the city of Cotulla. David told us a little bit, but we'd like your insight.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the 312 statute which is what governs the tax abatements. That statute requires that the city or the county adopt guidelines and criteria prior to extending any abatement. So it's a legal requirement for y'all to consider adopting these. Did you post 7 days in advance in a public hearing for this, David? And testing 1, 2.
Yeah. He said
Yeah.
no. They said no.
Okay. You want to table it then, David? In order to act on the guidelines, you must post at the local paper 7 days in advance and open and close a public hearing and take comment before you ask the council to consider adopting the guidelines.
I actually think it's better that we didn't do it tonight because again, we have a council that's getting information through a fire hose and they need time to understand what these things are before they're being asked, hey, you got to vote on it. Hey, you got to vote on it. Hey, you got to do it right now. And I know that's a terrible feeling and I don't like being put in that situation either. But I think, Jeff, we can do this anytime.
Okay.
You know,
So we can put it back on and table it for our end of the meeting.
because what he's going to be doing now that we've approved his engagement, he's only going to be negotiating with him. There's nothing done until they come back here and you all say yes. So,
So at this point, we're gonna table it so that it can get posted in the paper for the 7 days and it will be ready for the end of the month.
yeah, and I'll try to find some, I'm sure the Attorney General has information on it.
Number 7.
Yes.
This is number 7. And so do we take it as an informational first? Or do we need a motion to table?
Well, think I've heard things that they say is.
And
Reason-
Dave, David, if you will give me the target hearing date, I will provide you the text of the posting that will go to the local paper. And as long as we get that in place 7 days prior, we're in good shape to open and close the public hearing, then ask the council to consider adopting the guidelines.
Okay, I'd probably like to get it into the paper by Monday so it can get out and be in the paper for a week prior to our next meeting.
Okay, I'll put that in your inbox, and Mr. Pena, I'll copy you on that.
Yeah, absolutely. But just to finish what I was saying, it's to make the government happy that you're not just giving money away. And that you've got a process where you're not discriminating against somebody. You know, you've got objective standards. This is what you have to do. But I guess ultimately the decision on whether or not you approve a tax abatement is still up to the council, and it has to serve a public purpose. So I'll end it there.
So do I have a motion to table the number 7 to the end of the month meeting on, what is it? August 27th.
It's the first
Do I have-
motion.
And I have a second? Yeah, I got a first, second. All in favor of tabling this till the end of the month on August 27th, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is Jeff's also?
Yeah.
All right, number 8, discuss and consider an act on approving proposal of application for tax abatements and designation of reinvestment zones within the city of Cotulla.
This one here, Mayor, is also just, but this is not approving a tax abatement for the company. This is just approving a template application that the city can use for them to apply for the abatement.
Okay, so the template application.
Exactly right. Yes. This is a way to automate your response when you get expressions of interest from other developers that say, hey, we'd like to come to town. How do we submit an application? This will be that response, the document that I provided.
Have you used this document before, sir?
Yes, sir. I have extensively. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Pigum, Texas? No, that's not it. That's coming up. This is number 8. Did you have number 8 with it? No. Yeah. On your tab, you'll see a sample of that application. Do we have any discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the template application for tax abatement and designation of reinvestment zones within the city of Cotulla? Do I have a second? All in favor of approving the template, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to number 9, this is discuss, consider, and act on proposed tax rate for fiscal year FY 2026-27.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good evening. The city needs to propose a tax rate. We will be posting some tax information and other financial information in the newspaper next week. So we need to propose a tax rate. The proposed budget is based on an 80-cent tax rate. The no new revenue tax rate is 0.77133. So we have a whole bunch of different tax rates. We also have the third one down, the ad valorem sales tax. The city collects 2% sales tax. 1/4 of that is to reduce ad valorem taxes. And that tax rate is 0.23390. So going down a little further, the voter approval maintenance and operation tax rate, if we did not have a sales tax, would be 53 cents. But because we have that 1/4 tax reduction sales tax, our M&O tax rate is 0.29951.
Didn't last year we raised our taxes a little bit last year and now again another year?
So here's the reason that I put it proposed to you. Our no sales tax is 77 cents. So that's still two cents higher than our $75. We also did across the board COLAs last year. I proposed to you this year is with that other 3% is to cover inflation costs for our employees. And I'm proposing a 5% on non-salary employees. That part of that. There is a lot of things that, please remind us, last year you said, I think it was $30 on our total tax when we went from 70 to 75.
The 5-cent increase last year was about $30. This year would be an additional about 31.50.
And remember that no matter what, we're still only like not even 2.5%, 2.5 cents on it because you still have the 0.77, your no rate increase. So no matter what, you went from 75 to 77. So this is only 2.5 cents more.
Well, the 2 cent would actually be about maybe $13 on an average household in Cotulla,
Absolutely.
which are valued at about $63,000.
This is, now, we all know that what may be coming, but again, we can't hatch our chickens before they hatch, right? You can't count your chickens before they hatch. So there's some administrative things that we have to take into consideration, one being capital for our employees. There's a lot of things that they're lacking for that we haven't been able to get for in years. And we've got to start looking at some of those things. There's also some debt that we need to address. And part of that debt is that 2.3 million that we were in the hole last year because of our our solid waste. So we need to start addressing some of these things. And this is a way to start addressing it where it'll come to the council to make a commitment. We voted last year that we would take that action, but because we never had the extra revenue, we couldn't. Now, we're still looking at our solid waste and what ins and out has affected our budget, but we don't have a complete picture yet. So just because we may raise a little bit to make ends meet and get some criteria for our employees doesn't mean that if our chicken does hatch, our egg does hatch, we can't always come back and change that. Is that right, Mr. Flores?
Yes, that's correct.
So answers are 75 or 0.77.
Now they're at 0.75. The 0.77 is the no new revenue tax rate. That is the tax rate that we would need to collect the same dollar amount in taxes that we're collecting this year on the same property.
And that's including with pay raise for the employees.
Yes.
With a budget.
My question is, how many citizens are on payment plans? How many elderly citizens are on payment plans? By increasing another 2%, are we really gonna make a dent in, what was that, 2.3 million?
Yeah. Well,
Are we gonna make a dent by increasing 2.5 cents? I don't see it. All we're doing is adding more debt to our citizens, our elderly citizens, our disabled citizens that are on fixed incomes. You got people that, make money, they can pay their taxes. You got people that have to be on payment plans.
but
So
we also
putting that extra stress on those citizens, 2.5 cents, is it really gonna make a difference to $2.3 million deficit? I mean, or debt?
The 2 cents would give us about $33,000.
but it would help give our employees those raises and not straight across COLAs. These are
3% raise this year, and they're gonna get a 3% raise next year. Right?
not necessarily, no.
I mean, that's been the going rate.
So one thing I'd like to say about this is that as far as the tax rate, I disagree just a little bit. I think we should hold our tax rate for a year to what it currently is in lieu of what's going to happen. The changes that we have made with the rate increases in the departments have turned the departments around. Where last year, this time in the sanitation, we were at a negative $150,000, and this year we're up $16,000. So we've already technically made back that $150,000, and we're in the red now. Next year in October, this fiscal budget, we're gonna have another rate increase. So that once again is gonna add to the total money that we have. Changing this tax rate, I personally don't feel that it should be 80 cents, and I don't think we should be hurting the public, when we still need to actually work on our departments. That's why we did the rate increase. We did the rate increase so that we would get it from utility and not continue to raise this.
I'm also,
So into consideration was the actions that weren't taken for years and years and years. We were at 70 cents for how long? 70 cents for how long? Well, 15 years?
4 years.
Well, it's been a long time.
the thing is that we've been seeing progress right now. We've been seeing progress right now, and I'm not about only one group. It's about what's gonna help, what's gonna benefit the whole city, the fixed income. I don't want to affect anybody. I mean, we can't just think about one group, because I am all for the employees. I am, but it's not about a group. It's about everyone.
No, it's about
And-
everyone, and when you affect the employees, you're affecting your community. They're barely getting by. They could do so much
for them,
more. No,
for them.
listen. Oh,
Can there also be can they also be covered with a 3% rate or 5%? This
So the 70%
this year,
we had for probably over 10 years, from what I'm saying, was actually a tax increase year after year, because the ad valorem of the city increased throughout all that time. We went in the last 20 years, we've gone from $10 million value of the city all the way up to $243 million.
but
So
also this year,
maintaining 70%
Yeah.
was a tax increase every single year.
But also this year, the sales tax went down. How much did it go down? How much?
400.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of factors in place here, and we have to consider them all. Again, doesn't mean that if this other project comes through, we can't come and readjust this and bring it down. Absolutely. But when you're talking about employees and our elderly, I absolutely agree. But right now, our employees can't do enough for those elderlies. I feel those calls very, no, it's a multiple of things. It's not just affecting just the employees and their raises, but actually, excuse me, hold on, I'm speaking, I'll let you speak, I promise. But it also affects your capital and what they're doing with it. You have employees doing the same thing over and over and over again because they don't have any capital. They don't have more equipment. So they can't do more for your community. They're tapped out, and you need to help them somehow. You need to help them somehow. I understand that. Now, Mr. Garcia, go ahead.
2.5 cents is gonna affect the capital that much.
Actually, Mr. Flores just said it would be five.
What kind of equipment are you gonna get with 30,000?
It
Yeah.
adds up.
The difference is $93,000 to the city.
I have a question. David,
Yeah.
what is your plan to reduce that deficit of the solid waste, 2.3 million?
Well,
What is it? How do you expect to restart?
so that,
And I know it's not with you. Let me explain. I know it didn't start with you. It started 30 years ago. But we're 30 years and we're 2.3 million in the hole in solid waste. What are you doing to catch up? That's why they're doing it. The guys that are out there are unable to do the stuff that you need to do, because what do you tell them when they need something? Do with what you got, right? Right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's-
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the people are complaining that we're not fixing streets. We're not doing the right of ways correct. We're not doing this. Why? Because we don't have the equipment to do it. I get it, Hondo. I get it. We don't want to raise those rates. We don't. But the inflation does not help us, because we will end up in the red completely, eventually in a few years. Okay? I'm talking business wise. Okay?
Okay.
Long term. So
To
what
answer
is your plan?
question, to answer your question, the actual $2.3 million of the city is behind it, and it's not a debt, but is behind. It is being paid. It is wrapped into the rate that is currently in effect. So we have a 5-year rate plan that does address that.
So
And
let me ask you this. What was the rate on the solid waste last year at the end of the fiscal year? How much was it? The- huh?
on residential,
The 2.3 million that is now currently.
so the residential rate was about 1540, plus there was a tax in there that made it 16 and change.
What I'm trying to say is, did we increase that debt, that solid waste? Did it go up from last year? Okay. So
For the next
This,
5
this
years.
We're not
year
fixing
has it increased?
This year it was addressed with the Encinal help, Encinal solid waste pickup is helping a lot. And, also just the decrease in personnel also helps a lot. The new
I hope
trash
to
truck.
bring this, I hope to bring this back at mid-year and say, hey, man, we can go way low. When, if February 27 comes in and everything is good, we can always revisit. But the thing is, at some point, it's gonna take the hard answer. It's gonna take the hard decisions. And we have to start addressing these things. And at some point, we've got to start doing it.
But just for informational purposes, whether we select the 75, the 77 or 80,
Still have to.
the M&O tax rate remains unchanged. The difference goes to the debt service fund. Any excess in the debt service fund goes to pay off the water loan. So we actually don't really have additional monies in the M&O tax rate to pay off the debt in the solid waste.
So regardless of what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, even if we do this, our solid waste is still gonna be more and more debt as we go along.
Not necessarily more and more debt because they're not increasing the deficit this year. The steps to improve the solid waste fund have taken place this year. I'm not saying it's gonna finish in the black at the end of the year, but it's in the black now, and this is the latest in the year that the solid waste fund has actually been in.
What can happen, one is actually supposed to start happening year 3. We were able to make it happen in the first year.
But what, David, I couldn't hear you.
Then what this happened in year 1 was supposed to actually happen in year 3. We should have been at a deficit this year also, with the current structure that we implemented. We're going to give 5% to improve revenue.
That's what I have proposed to you.
Okay.
That's what I have proposed to you on the non-salaried employees because they're the ones being affected. the most.
My concern is the elderly, the people that are like Hannah was saying, they're in fixed incomes. Last year we had about 160 residents or people that have residents that were in a payment plan and they were struggling to pay their taxes. And I feel that if we would stay with a 0.75 like we are right now, giving the employees, which I want to give the employees, across the board, the 5%, we'll be okay. And we'll take it, from this year to the following. Let's see how it is.
So
That's me.
correct me if I'm following you, sir. Stay at the 7.5. Don't give the employees anything this year.
No,
Correct.
I'm in favor for giving employees a raise.
Then we
What
could-
then
With
we
that-
need? Then we need the 0.80. Correct.
Can we do it with 0.75? The 5%? But can,
Trying to say-
Can we do the 0.75?
with the raise?
Whatever council,
But well,
here's the confusing part of tax rates. Our values went down a little, so the no new revenue tax rate goes up. If we pick the 77 cents, it's not considered a tax increase. If we keep 75 cents, it's actually considered a tax decrease because we'll collect a little bit less in tax dollars.
That's why I pointed out that it's only very little and we could be able to afford that 5% and not be hurt with our employees. And they would be able, inflation has hit them hard and David can vouch for that. And so that's what we're looking at.
I'm in favor of helping employees because they deserve a raise. you know,
And the thing is, my proposal to you is also gonna come with a restructure. And we have to look at those, that are employees. We have to look who's inside. We have to look at the guys who are outside and actually reassess and establish our manpower out there and make sure that we have those right numbers. And we have to do that together because we're the ones guiding our city. So we have to do a restructure. We have to do a reorganization so that we abate our tax appropriately to be able to justify these things.
one last part I need to address, tax collections, they are at 88%, when historically we were in the mid to high 90s in collections. The reason is exactly what's being said here at this council is people are not able to pay the tax rate.
And the confusing part for the citizens, if we were to keep the 75 cents, but their values went up, they're paying more taxes. And they're saying, what do you mean it's a tax decrease if I'm paying more taxes? Because overall, on average, it would be considered a tax decrease.
With a 0.75, can we give our employees the 5% increase?
The general fund still has a healthy fund balance. Would we maybe have to dig into that fund balance next year? Perhaps. I guess it just depends on how confident council is on the data center. And I understand the part that don't count your chickens before they hatch, but how confident are we that this is actually coming?
No, the things have turned around, the departments have turned around. You know, we're not losing money every day. We're not bleeding money in the sanitation. Things are improving.
Can I say something different, a little bit different? I know when we changed the lights for our city, did it actually save us with that power?
So being that we added 50 lights, it did not create a savings for the city. It broke us even.
Okay.
So, but we were actually able to create a better service for the public.
Okay. It covered some of those places that didn't have the lighting. So.
So when you said real quick, if we dip into the general fund, do you know más o menos, more or less? How much we would dip in and how much it'll affect our general fund in the long run, and we will be able to recuperate that. We can't make that distinguish.
So we're not looking at that. Can we make it all? Depends on the economy. Sales tax is very important. Sales tax has dropped. Will it come back up at some point because of oil and gas? Not even looking at data centers.
So a healthy hold for 7 months, at least to operate under the general fund is how much? If we can keep that general fund healthy.
The general fund budget is about $3 million. A healthy fund balance in the general fund, 50% of that, $1.5 million. We're over that right now. And we're also discussing the overage in the economic development fund. We have already identified over $2 million. They have a $1.9 million fund balance of projects that were paid for either by the general fund or by the water sewer fund, that money is probably coming back. So the general fund has a fund balance of close to $3 million. That could go up to $4 million. So the general fund is very healthy. It's just a solid waste fund that, because of the deficit we have there, gives it a.
So, Mr. Flores, another thing, I'll propose this. If we went with the no revenue tax rate of 77, that would keep us where we're at right now, at least, right? And that would at least be able to get our 5% on the employees. It should.
That would give us the same tax dollars that we're collecting this year.
Basically,
instead of the 75, which we have now, correct? We go to 77, we're basically just breaking even. Pretty much.
And actually, the difference between the 75 and the 77 is about $36,000. That would basically go to pay off some of the loans in the water fund. So if you want to see what the salary increases look like, we had talked about a 3%, a 5%, and a 10%. And we discussed this for hourly employees only and for all employees. So this first column, and I broke it down by the different funds. The first column is the 3%. So giving a 3% to only the hourly employees would cost us $49,800. To give a 3% to all employees would be $68,800, a difference of $18,000. And then we have the 5% totals, 83,114 for all, a variance of 31,000, and a 10%, 166,144, 229 for everybody, for a variance of $63,000. Now the proposed budget has a 5% increase for hourly employees only. So that would be the first column on the 5%. So I just wanted you all to see the numbers, what it would cost us to do either one of these three scenarios.
So if we say with the
6 and 9.
0.75, we can give a 3%. Would that be healthy? That be okay? The 3% or the 5% or just okay.
It will entail a few, not more than that will
But we're
You know, I've been saying some of the city council members, but I'm looking at the whole picture where there's a lot of people in this community. Every community is different. Every city in the state of Texas is different in the world. And there's a lot of people here that are fixed income, that they're have an income that it's just that one, amount of money, but the living cost has gone up, the food, the gas, utilities, a bunch of stuff, but they're still with that fixed income. And if we would do an increase in taxes, we would put them more in the bind, as the economy is right now. I'm okay with 0.75, it's up to the rest, if they want to do 0.77.
I mean, if it's possible to leave it at 0.75 and still give them the 5%, if it's healthy for our city anyways, I'm all for it.
Because the employees need it.
Yes.
I'm in favor for the employees because they need it, they work hard, and for the amount of money they get, I've worked with them on the streets with offenders in the state of Texas, side by side and shit. I mean,
and
and I'm talking in general, not just outside employees, but the ones inside.
and nothing is getting approved today. It's just a proposal. When we start the budget workshop, I would like to know kind of what council wants as far as salary increases. I'll rework all of the numbers because we're approving the budget sometime in September. So whatever gets decided today, I'll rework the numbers and bring it back at another meeting.
The 7.5 or the 7.7?
I mean, we're talking $36,000. So
Not much of a.
so it's just whatever council decide.
I'm all for it. If you leave it 7.5 and give them a 5%, I'm for that. I'll be honest.
I understand, the economy is expensive right now. And the employees need it, You know, some people travel back and forth, they work hard, but I'm agreeable with a 0.77. But it's up.
The data centers come through, next year's budget workshop, we might be having
Discussion.
a very different, discussion.
Yeah.
When was the last time the city employees had a raise? Yeah, it's always been a cost of living adjustment every year.
The people that have been here. They have received that year after year.
So at the end of the year, do they get any quote unquote Christmas bonuses?
So there's a longevity pay that goes out that is structured depending on how many years they have been here. It goes from $250 all the way up to $1,200 for a person over 10 years.
And the reason why I'm asking that is that I know the employees that are out and doing actual work really deserve some more money. But with all this, us being new, myself and my other councilman, that I would like to look at the budget numbers a little bit more. And once we have our budget workshop, to be able to come back and address this. We don't have to address this at this particular moment to do this tax rate, do we?
Well, it has to be voted on today, Steve, but can I bring it back after we do the workshop?
You can change it. You just can't go over the amount. Come under it. This has to be put in the real places.
So even if you voted today to say, okay, tentatively, we might do the 77, you can always change it. And until we adopt the tax, okay, we got time, in other words. So,
I personally want to give a plus support, because being selfish that just people working outside, the people that are inside mentally, they work as much as hard as, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, but, and that's understandable, Gilbert, but we also do need to do a reconstruction and a reassessment of what our employees are doing.
It might be in the computer 24/7. I'm doing it. Takes a toll.
People don't think that working at a desk is tiring.
It's stressful. Everybody in the city here, you gotta work hard in the city. But it's not pressure. You work outside, and some people choose to work inside in climate or weather. But everybody has a difference. But you gotta treat them equally.
So do I have a motion to impose that tax rate and what is it?
It can be changed, right?
You can do
It's
the,
a proposal.
it's a proposal. It's either the 8 or you stay with the 75 or you go to the no revenue tax of 0.77. Again, it's not set in stone until we have approved the budget. All in favor of the 0.75 stays in place, tax rate, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Stand.
Motions have it. It carries.
Yes.
I had
One no.
one no, one abstain, and 3 yes. All right, number 10, do I have a motion to adjourn and we'll take a 5-minute break and come to the budget workshop? Do I have a second? On favor of adjournment, say aye. Adjournment is at 8:25. Been so long since we did the Lion King. All right. Second part of the meeting is a budget workshop for fiscal year 2026, 2027. The city council will convene into the budget workshop immediately. The time right now is 8:32. And we're gonna open up the meeting. Just for record, none of the councilmen has left. All 5 councilmen are here. We have the city secretary and city administrator here, and of course, our public. So we have established the quorum. Next is conducting the budget workshop for fiscal year 2026, 27.
Thank you. So the proposed budget is very similar to the current budget, except for there's a few items that I'm gonna go over. On the revenues, so the first one is the proposed tax rate, which is now set at 75 cents. The sales tax revenues, the budget decreases from $2.4 million to $2 million. So,
Page are you on to?
no, this, I'm
Oh,
reading, we haven't even got to these are just kind of the changes.
Okay.
And the utility revenues are based on actual numbers plus a slight increase for the rate increases that we're gonna have. On the expense side, the proposed budget has a 5% increase for hourly employees only. There's a new position, a human resource position in the general fund at 40,841. The general fund has a transfer out to cover some improvements in the gas fund that the gas fund cannot pay for itself. We have 2 new capital leases, the solid waste truck and the bins, and the fire truck is the other one. We did pay off one this year, so we picked up 2 and dropped 1. The municipal court judge will be paid $1,000 per month, up from the $700 that we're paying now. There is a contract position for a city marshal at $2,000 a month. We increased every year because of the work that the administrative staff does for certain other funds. We actually transfer monies from the other funds into the general fund to cover administrative expenses. Now, most of the office staff in the front and the windows are all utility employees getting paid from the general fund. So we increased that transfer from the water sewer fund from $50,000 to $150,000. So we increased it $100,000. And again, the gas fund, we already touched on that. The improvements is going to cost about $150,000, which they cannot pay for themselves. Does the transfer from the general fund. And on the economic development, there is a budget there, the sales tax, and then certain expenses, certain salary expenses and contract expenses that are already approved. We're waiting for the EDC board to come up with a budget for the rest of it, and then we'll bring it to council. And those are the main differences from this year's budget to the proposed budget. There were a few items that were brought to my attention after the budget was filed. So one of them, code enforcement, operating expenses had a big increase, but I reviewed the detail, and one of the contract payments was paid out of supplies and should have been paid out of contract. So that one we can reduce from the $15,000 budget in the proposed budget to the $5,000 that we have in the current year. Now, there is also the contract, and Mr. Wright, you mentioned this to me. The contract with the code enforcement people. I don't really understand how that works, so
That one, yeah. Historically, we had a building inspection and we were not bringing in the funds needed to support the building inspection. So in the code enforcement, I know to recognize there was $100,000 there for consulting. And we were paying the building inspector that amount of money. Bureau Veritas is now our new building inspectors, and the way this has been designed and approved through council is that every building permit that is issued from the city, there's a 20% upcharge on it to actually maintain the department. So that puts that to where we're not spending city money to support the permits. That $100,000 that is there, I asked for, hey, it can be removed and reallocated somewhere else. Correct, because now we've leveled that part of the business. We've leveled it out and we're not losing money on it. So we're actually making a profit, especially when you have a big permit that comes in at several million dollars, the city makes money.
so in other words, our building permit revenue has to be more than the contract services that we're paying out. Okay. Okay, so those need to be changed on the budget itself.
Paying for your staff and whatever supplies that are needed.
More than the what? Sir? The
The,
permit money?
the building permit revenue has to be more than the code enforcement
Yes.
being done on those buildings. 20%, right?
Yeah.
And Mr. Wright also wants a Main Street coordinator at $40,000. That would be paid by hotel motel tax.
So what I'm doing on this one here, and regardless if I was to use another staff member that currently works for the city, in order to allocate the hot tax funds, I need to create the position. And what I'm doing is being that the Chamber of Commerce is closed in the city, I'm looking to get a Main Street coordinator assistant, but somebody that can also work on maybe economic development and work on tourism and event planning and stuff like that. Things that the chamber did that we paid them or donated money to them to do.
Is that last year?
That was $50,000 that we were paid.
You're looking for. So the Main Street coordinator would be an assistant because the young lady, what's her name? Jennifer, yeah. She's a coordinator. So she would need an assistant.
Yes.
Okay.
And in the past,
But that's a lot of work.
prior to me taking administrator, she did have an assistant. And I never rehired anybody, and then we took it out of the budget. So she's regardless of what it is, she is inundated, she is constantly working and busy. And we have other staff members that work in the office that she depends on to help her, especially Miss Martinez back there helps her quite a bit, even though she has her own job duties. The third thing, the last thing that I noticed in the budget, Jorge, and I'm not sure if I actually addressed this with you, attorney's fees. I saw here that it was at $57,000.
That was actually the last item I have.
Oh,
The attorney's fees are budgeted at 57,000, but because of the 380 agreements that are coming, the work that Mr. Peña is going to be doing, we're increasing that budget to 100,000.
What?
100,000 from 57 to 100.
157 to 100. Oh,
57 to 100.
57 going up.
wow.
And that's basically what I have. I would like to kind of get an idea what type of increases, other than if you want to give the 5% hourly only, or what is it that the council wants to do with salary increases, so that I can rework the budget and bring it back to you all.
I have a question, sir.
And don't take this personal, but are you contract to the city or you're a city employee? You're a contract. When are we gonna get our own financial officer?
To have happened, number one. But yeah, it's hard to find.
We still actively advertising for it.
It
Mentioned
was,
it recently,
it was
yeah.
the webpage. I think when the webpage changed, it might have been taken off. I recommend that it be put back on.
Jorge,
Can't decide yet.
Have you been, working for the city contract?
Started maybe about 2012, 2013. Took a couple of years off when you all hired Mr. Garcia.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know that I took 2 years off because I was helping train Mr. Garcia, so I didn't really take I mean, Mr. Garcia was doing the work. I would just kind of review it.
You can hear them. You don't wanna work?
As an employee, no.
You're okay,
I'm working on it.
you're okay with you right now.
Thank you. I mean, I believe you've been doing an awesome job here with our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I always said, I'm here to help as long as you all want me. If you all hire somebody and that individual needs a little training, I can provide the training. I will ensure a smooth transition if you go in a different direction. And I do
But
not take offense.
you already know how our city works.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The thing is, Jorge, that the way I see it, that you already know how our city works, how our budget works. So you're very familiar with that. That's what I learned.
He's ready to retire.
Yeah.
We gotta do succession planning. He's gotta find somebody. We gotta find somebody to do it, so.
And retire might be a strong word. I'm ready to slow it down. I'm probably still gonna be at the county for a little while longer. So the way I figure it is, if I'm coming to Cotulla anyway, and you all need the help,
Yes.
I'm here.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you all want to go over the budget or
Yeah.
how you want to go over the budget, page by page, or what type of detail are you all looking at? Or do you have any questions?
I think we had some questions to me, I know, was on the transfers in and transfers out. Can you show us what we talk about when we're doing that? I know you explained it to myself and Ms. Nunez, if any other board member wants, that way that we are all on the same page.
So we transfer money from the funds that actually have funds. Like we don't include the gas fund or the solid waste fund in transferring money to the general fund because they don't have the funds to do it. The other funds, the water sewer fund, the Main Street, which basically Main Street and the Civic Center, which get their money from the hotel motel. So we include those three in transferring money from those funds into the general fund for administrative purposes. Because the deposits being taken at the window are not just utility deposits. There's also a lot of hotel motel deposits, civic center deposits that go through the window. So we just charge them a little bit for administrative purposes.
So you're anticipating the general to go down to 1.2? No, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong one. From
1.5.
from this year 3.2 to 2.9, and the purpose
Also because of the sales tax decrease.
sales tax decrease. Okay, sorry. Thanks.
And we're hoping sales tax would pick up, but sales tax has been slow this year. Even I checked the sales tax that came in for them, actually will come in tomorrow. So like $164,000. So it's kind of maintaining that amount. It's not increasing it.
We're at 184 and this year we're 162, 163.
So we did come down substantially on the general fund budget.
Can you explain the general, salaries there on the general government salaries and wages? So we were at, 255,000, 25. We budgeted 512. And we're actually through June 30th, 360. So by the end of the year, what do we expect to be at?
Well, some of those have to do with the turnover that has happened recently. So an employee leaves and actually the workforce has been reduced also. So where's it gonna be at the end of the year? I would have to calculate that amount.
But it multiplied that 1 point something by that 360,000, which would put us closer to where we are at the end of the year.
It would be the 360 if every month is equal. It would be the 360 times 1.33.
But we're budgeting 572,488.
So at 360 divided by the 9 months is 40,000. So we're looking at 480,000 by the end.
One of the issue is that we closed 8 positions in the city. So you're paying less payroll every month.
No, and I understand, but we're proposing that we're gonna go way higher. So and I know that we had factored in the 5%, right?
The 5%. And not the little one,
Yeah. So already those increases are, and that was part of my reasoning for that 0.8. Because I had seen some of these numbers already. So if we go with this budget at the end of the year, what are we gonna end up at? Do you have a bottom line?
The budget
Yeah.
is it's a balanced budget. So basically for we and if the budget was moving, we'll make the same.
And that was with that staying at the 0.75?
That I need to reduce the fund that it would affect the most by I guess $36,000 would be the water fund. Because actually, if you look on page 14, the debt service fund. Is everyone on page 14? So that first line, the ad valorem taxes current, would be reduced by about $36,000. In order to keep the budget balanced, at the very bottom, you have transferred to water sewer fund of 571,000. That's to pay off the water loan. That would be reduced by the same $36,000. And in the water sewer fund, we have a transfer in that would be reduced by that amount. So I would need to find some expense account, maybe depreciation expense, that I would reduce by $36,000.
The rate increase that'll hit October 1 for water, wastewater.
Yes.
And then capital outlay on our general fund has nothing, we're not gonna put in. We're not putting any capital outlay in.
We're not putting in capital outlay, council, I would recommend that we can meet the people that they can do. We can really like the item and either identify consultant or take it over.
Do you, when you do this budget, do you ask the creators, not the creators, the supervisors, their wish list of what they might need? Because we can make that decision, that we're not gonna give them anything, but they're the ones in the front line. and they need to let us know what they need and. Huh? Well, I'd like to hear those. There's like,
So what I gotten is, and me and Jorge did speak of it, it was that they need a backhoe in the street department. And that is the only thing, and it's approximately $150,000 for a backhoe nowadays.
so they don't have one right now. How old are they?
New, within the last
The
4 years.
backhoe.
Yeah. 4 years. A lot of our equipment here is new. We purchased a lot of equipment over the years. And this is the first year that we're actually not making a purchase of equipment. Yeah, the lift is at the, yeah, and we have a lift at the convention center. We purchased that 2 years ago. We do have one there. Now, that type of lift we don't, and that's something that we do need. So like a low or sky lift, we don't.
But the minute that the city buys that, that's extra training and stuff too, absolutely. For safety. Oh, yeah.
We own a paver. We own a paver. We
Own a grader?
Yes, we own a grader.
A grader?
A grader. So we own a lot of the equipment. The issue is that we don't have qualified people to operate.
So what are you doing to getting qualified?
Well, I asked them if they want to, really. I started with CDL and I got 3 CDL, well, not me, but the city has 3 CDL drivers at this point. You know, we do have 2 operators, but, you know, they're not proficient on the grader. I offered the classes to everybody.
What does a CDL driver in the city get paid?
Generally, they start around $18 an hour per CDL.
Roughly.
They do, and but there's some, that is correct. The city generally doesn't, any city generally doesn't have the kind of money for that.
Yeah.
The other thing is that in the oil field, there's no benefit.
It's kind of like, yeah, they,
Yeah. Benefit. We offer to the employees.
does the city pay for their trainings? Cause I know the trainings for CDL.
Yes. The city pays 100% all trainings. If a employee gets a state license, it's $1.50 raise. And then that's how, pretty much how some of us got to where we were when we were working in the field. You know, we took classes, we got state licensing, and we got those raises. You know, that's the motivation factor to get employees that
Everybody's aware of.
everybody's aware of it. I don't know how many times I've brought it up. So.
How does losing that lift station affect our budget in the event that we don't get funded?
If we don't, and we're meaning we don't get funded by
By
FEMA, so what will happen and what's gonna happen regardless is that on the next meeting, we're gonna have a resolution for reimbursement come for approval for the council. That's gonna put me on a 90-day clock in order to get a bank loan at approximately $1.5 million to cover all the flood. Okay, now if FEMA says, oh, we're not gonna give you anything, what they do give us, that can go and pay that loan off. If they decide to say, no, we're not gonna give you anything, my step 2 from that is to go to Texas Water Development Board and ask them to refinance the bank loan under a 0 interest loan with maybe forgiveness, which is something that is totally doable and the city has done in the past. We needed a water well in 2014 and we took out a $5 million bank loan and then we refinanced the Texas Water Development Board and they ended up giving us $15 million for more infrastructure. Over the last 15 years, 90% of the city's infrastructure has been replaced. Yeah, that's what they have to do. We have $550,000 in damages in lift stations right now. And that's not budgeted. You know, money comes in, money goes out. That's what the budget's about, you know.
And that's why, and when inflation is higher, we're having to pay more and we're having to constrain. And we can't raise the taxes because then what are you gonna do? The gas, the
The other
materials?
thing is, this piece of paper here, this is tentative. Because exactly like you said, if the money doesn't come, I gotta make those decisions and those cuts so that we don't go bankrupt. You know,
The thing is that the frontline people are having to do with what they have, and that's not right.
then the comment I can say to that is, I did spend 12 years in the field and they have better than we've ever had. So, and I definitely understand.
Something, you give it to them, right? What they need. Okay.
So you bring any supervisor in here and you ask them, and they're gonna tell you that. And we're gonna have departmental reports and I won't say a thing. And the one thing.
Look at that too. I want to go on.
Yes. But one thing also is I don't deny maintenance.
Okay,
It's
good.
the department head's responsibility to guarantee that all equipment is
What I'm,
maintenance.
what I'm.
So I guarantee that they get the money to do it.
What I'm seeing that our workers do a lot of mowing, and I know about mowing. They got quality. They got John Deere. They got steel. Grass grows every week, and I see our employees that they do got good equipment for that. Huh?
You see the trailer stocked up?
Yes,
Down?
they have good trailers, good weed eaters. They got nothing but steel, right? Yes.
We had in the water department, I can speak very easily say we had 6 employees, 1 weed eater, and barely had a net to throw stuff at the wastewater plant.
Yeah.
You know,
They got quality.
yeah. First new backhoe we got was in 2014, and that was a brand new backhoe in 2014.
Is there an equipment part that they want that they need?
I would like for the city. I would like for the, I'm sorry about that. I would like for the city to get, those tires, that don't get flat. It's kind of costly, but I know because I have one. I have a couple of mowers, and the one I have a Hustler, and man, I might go through thorns and everything, and I don't have to worry about getting flat or anything. I mean, it saves money.
We've purchased 2 John Deeres with the run flat tires. The lawnmower that they currently have that I did see that was purchased at my sabbatical. It has the regular tires, and I believe that was purchased with auction money, is what I was told. I believe we received $60,000 in auction funds, and that was one of the things that they purchased with those money.
I have a question, sir. The computer networking services, back in 2024, 25, you have 29,800 budgeted. And then for the proposed budget for the upcoming year, you only got $10,000. Is there a reason why we have a reduction in it?
Yes, yeah, honestly, there shouldn't be, but it's just, it was an item to be cut because of the tightness of the budget.
An item that's not being utilized, or?
Well, yes, I mean, the part of the issue there, we purchased all brand new computers for the city hall and for other places here this year in this fiscal budget. There are a lot of needs in that department. Me and Juan actually were speaking about going cloud-based for the server system, so that we never lose it. Things like that we do want to do. And that number is low. I mean, we would like to do something. Well, yeah, maybe. We may. I don't, one thing, let me bring this up real quick. Because I looked into this, and when I first saw it, I kind of put it to the side. But Juan did take a class for A+ certification. He did pass it. He did get certified, and there is no state license for that. So he is actually certified IT. He does have the ability to do a lot of things that he generally doesn't get credit for. I really think that he would have the ability to do some of this work. If we give him the money and the proper material to do it, he could do it. Does the council want to waste the money on it? That's up to you.
Well, computers of the future.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my
So I would say also computers every 5 years, you probably need to be replacing. That's the general life of it.
It's not, a discussion that we had
Yes, ma'am.
before,
Yes.
that our servers, when it comes to, I don't know, do you use Encode? What do you use?
We only use Encode for the anything GovTech, it's a company that we use for everything else. Encode, I'm gonna say it's superior, and we know it's superior. But that's what was purchased prior, was this Edmunds. And that was, I believe, in 2022, 23. And it was like $32,000 for the equipment. So I said, I'm not gonna change this right away, and we just purchased this. You know, but yeah,
Yeah, the only thing is that we had discussed that our systems are not secured. Okay,
I,
that's why I'm saying that needs to be taken care of because that is our money in there. That is our people's money in there. And it needs to be more secured than what it, I know that it takes money to do all of this stuff, but in the long run, it's something that we do need.
considering cybersecurity,
Mhm.
because we do have a sonic wall that is a pain in the butt. And it keeps everything out. It even keeps us out. You know, that has been the protection over the years of what we do. Um, a lot of the issues we're having with the court with Encode right now is because of the sonic wall.
So, you're saying we have Info and we have, what's the other one, Juanita? Edmonds. All right, so we have two systems. Is there a way that we bring those together? Or what is, Juanita, you dealt with this quite often. What is your recommendation?
Yeah, so we would like to be.
Okay.
And I have myself, I'll tell you all now, I don't know the system. I've never been on the system. Encode in 2012 with her, I was on the system and she taught me a little bit of it. And I know from the comments that it is superior. You know, Jeff Snowden, he's like, you guys need to get Encode. You know, everyone says you need to get Encode. It's the best.
And Info,
But to pay for it,
no matter why we went to it, what would it cost to go back to Info?
I would have to see because also pointed out to me that Texas Water Loan will pay for it. But I need to go down that road and find that out. But with our current financing, just, you know, as far as accounting and things like that, Edmonds GovTech is one of them.
So why do we have this?
Ma'am?
Why do we do, funny that, oh, I don't understand. I never heard of.
Yeah. Right now,
But
for Edmonds.
how much about, how about Info? Yeah, there's something. I don't even like Info sometimes. I don't like it, right? I don't like it sometimes. But anyway. They what? Oh my God.
The big complaint about Edmonds is that I'm told is that it takes 10 screens to get to one thing. You know, and then there's a lot of detail that they can't put in the system.
Is there more double work on things you go to?
You know that?
It's a lot of work. That's what I'm told.
Well, what is your recommendation? Be honest. So which one do you think would be better, even?
Well, we get to next year, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll get to look like next year. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to have control of it.
No.
I just don't understand that.
Let me ask more questions.
Ask you.
From a financial standpoint, Edmonds is the software I've been looking for 30 years. It does everything that I need. I mean, I understand that there are some modules that maybe utilities or something that they might not like. From a financial aspect, it's the best software I've ever had. No, I've never done it.
Yes. Is it double work? Is it double work? It gets confusing. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Well, I gotta look at that for next year. okay. That's something to look at. It's just.
Anything else on the budget?
Monday?
One other, you have, line items in here for office supplies and then operating supplies. Is that two different things or cause you have them separated? Yeah.
We could probably combine those. Operating supplies is kind of a catch-all. Whole bunch of supplies that don't really pertain to the office are purchased from there. But truth is, we could combine them into one operating supply. account.
Well, the reason why I'm asking that, cause if you combine them, that's $1,000,
I know it's kind of a catch-all.
you know, so that's,
They purchase a lot out of operating supply.
that's what.
And every year I will actually go into the detail. Every month I go into the details, see what they're purchasing from office supply. Purchase everything from office supply, from operating supply. Especially like if you look, I guess, at the water sewer fund or operating supplies account.
Yeah,
I mean,
I noticed every department has that, and I was just, you know, I was just curious on that one, cause it's basically overall.
Any other questions on the budget? I know, we still haven't told Mr. Flores what he wanted to, what needed.
well, I guess the direction that I would like is, first of all, the items that we covered, lowering the code enforcement, operating supplies, adding the Main Street coordinator position, fixing the code enforcement contract as it pertains to building permit revenue, increasing the attorney fees from 57 to 100,000, and the property, and calculating the budget at a proposed tax rate of 75 cents. So I think that the one thing that I would like to discuss is what does council want to do with salary increasing? So can incorporate it into the bill. Right now, it's 5% for hourly employees.
Will the 5% projected make us more of a deficit because we don't know what our sales tax and revenues and all are gonna be? Can you, based off of what we got right now, which we didn't get the sales tax revenue before, would we break even at the end of the year? Or would we be in a hole or?
Right? If you look at page 1, the next to the last line, there's an item called carryover fund. What carryover funds is we're using the fund balance from prior year. So in other words, the general fund has close to a $3 million fund balance. We're probably gonna add $1.4 million from economic development identified expenses. So let's say we're starting with 4.2 million. If the budget holds true, we're actually reducing the general fund budget by 182 because we're balancing the general fund with prior year. So to go from $4 million to 3.8 in the general fund is still a very healthy fund balance rate. We can operate a whole year in the general fund without collecting a single penny of it. That's how healthy the general fund balance is.
Does the general fund monies include the EDC monies? No?
Now that's a separate fund. That's 148.
No, I was just wondering, the reason why I'm asking, because I remember we had a conversation that at one time everything was kind of lumped in there and they were pulling it out as needed. Okay.
One more question. Why are we increasing the attorney's fees? Is there a reason?
I think that. On the 380 agreements that are coming. It depends on the.
Okay, got it.
Have one other question that's going to be Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright, in May of 26, I asked for a breakdown of department personnel. You had, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, 10 in administration, 8 in sanitation, 13 in public works, 7 in water. ACO is 1 with 36 full-time and 3 part-time. Is that still about correct, personnel wise?
The street department, I believe they're at 10. Sanitation should be at 6. Water department should be at 8. And administration, including IT, is probably at 10. We, and we were,
38.
and we were at 48 full-time and 2 part-time. And we reduced down to the number that Lenny just said.
And maybe is that an actual assessment of our crews out there that would appropriately let especially the streets, function properly?
Yes, we've worked with less, for a long time, they only had 4 in the street department, and the job was predominantly getting done. The water department, we were only 6 and 5, and this was through the oil boom at that.
And on the proposed budget, the 15 to the 17 has a breakdown of the different positions. Now, some of those where we have to be careful are by persona. Like one employee will be 50% in one department, 50% in another. So if we just count them, we're gonna duplicate emphasis.
Update, no, not update, put a organizational chart into this budget, okay? Organizational chart. And I want it by how many people, if you don't mind, how many are in each of those positions? So that I can have a breakdown of what it is that we have. And because you're gonna add a HR and a. Huh? That one and the city marshal?
City
Or we're gonna
marshal,
combine?
no, city marshal will be a consultant.
So that's gonna go up to 40. We're gonna go up to 40 for this coming fiscal year.
24,000. Like, I can't hear her wrong, sorry.
No, that you're gonna have 40 now instead of 38 in the total budget. Okay, that's what I wanna know.
You already have that breakdown, correct?
Yeah.
I saw that breakdown.
In the back of the.
Okay.
Who does HR now?
There's actually an ordinance that city manager and city secretary HR department with the city. Don't want to sound bad, but the HR going in the budget is going to allow that to be delegated, being the way the ordinance structure is.
Wouldn't that be a conflict of interest under that, HR being under the city secretary? Is that a conflict?
Normal. The HR department got put in there and you're the HR, I guess. How does that work for you? Here's a perfect example. Yeah. So the reason for facilitate that HR position was Juanita is technically the historian. She's our city secretary. She's the historian of the city council, of this city. So there's a lot of things that she has to take care of on top of all the payroll. And on top of that, we're projecting that our municipal court will do better and have more income and more deal. That's under her too. And so at some point, 1, we do an HR, or 2, we contract it out. And so that was the reason for facilitating that budget item in there. So
The reason for the HR is because of investigations, of onboarding, of making sure that everybody's getting the certifications, keeping them up with their certification. It's a lot. I mean, myself is, mostly is all investigation. But onboarding, the turnovers, the re-advertising, that by itself is a lot.
Even though, because of course I'm HR and she's HR, but every incident and investigation that's ever been needed, I call the law firm and I explain it to them. And they have an attorney named Justin Nail that is an employment attorney and he delegates that. And so that's how every single thing that I've done has been that way. I've had full 100% communication with them and we've done it. Yeah. But
On top of everything else, he shouldn't be dealing with that.
current position that is being proposed by the mayor, at this point, I do agree with it. And I agree with it because the amount of workload on several and almost pretty much everybody in the office has become extravagant. You know, you have a city manager now at this point that's running a city, but he's also in the field, takes care of water, wastewater, and everything else. You know, you have a city secretary that has 19 jobs. You know, we do need this help.
Since y'all are right there working, right, what do y'all recommend?
He just told me.
Yeah, on HR, right?
Yeah, fact meeting is necessary because for one reason, we are overwhelmed. And that's including everybody there. And number two, we're hearing about more expansion coming. You know, we need it. You know, and I'm saying full-time employee. The workload is there. And no, you know, and also when we question, oh, you didn't get this, well, I'm sorry, but there's 100 other things that we were doing. You know, and that's exactly how it is right now.
So we need to support it. We have an intern then. Yeah, it's right there. Okay. I'm for it.
And the assistant for the, Main Street is included also, correct?
That is included in the current budget, but that will be coming from hot tax fund. It's a hot tax eligible, position. So that really can just be added from the hot tax.
And my recommendation to David was somebody from within, not necessarily the person at the window, but maybe someone from within. Again, here we are, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul with what we got right now. You know. Yeah. So.
Based on changes that we discussed today, it will include the Main Street assistant. I just, again, need to know, is this what you want the next budget to look like as far as 5% hourly employees? Yes, okay. So, okay, so I'll revise the budget with the changes that we discussed, and we'll bring it forward at whenever we're meeting again.
All right, with that, do I need a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, the workshop.
Works.
There, I think how is the raises gonna be allocated? Just when I'm asked?
5% for all hourly employees. Yeah.
We got a raise. Living adjustment last year. I believe it was.
Here's a recommendation on that, Gilbert, because we had talked about this. Remember, we still have this ongoing deal with the flood. And supervisors not being able to get overtime. But my recommendation to David, and I know it's gonna be a step increase for those supervisors that were going above and beyond. So some of those are gonna, I'm hoping that we can work that in. When we do a reorganization or restructure, we also wanna look at some kind of step increase, and you tried it. And so we can look at it. And well, she's asking for, what? That's what she's asking, an org chart, find out where we're at.
Organization chart has been done. TMO has a wage scale that compares to similar cities to this. That's why I'm saying we need something in order to do steps, because if we hire somebody from somebody else and they have some kind of experience, they're not gonna start at the starting pay. They should have a little bit of an increase because of their experience. So that has to be in place. Because we can give raises and raises and raises, and some people have the same raises as they've been here for 20 years, and they're getting almost the same as the ones that just started. So there has to be some kind of structure when it comes to that, and that is going to be your challenge on that because and it's not that hard because TML has the salaries.
Yeah, but Cotulla is very unique.
Yeah.
And Cotulla is unique because it has 26 hotels of population that we have to serve. So that makes
It
it
goes by
different.
your demographics, it goes by your budget, and it goes by how much money we have on our budget, that's for sure. And that is how,
Salary pay scale is not bad. We all have them.
yeah.
Gilbert, you're on a salary pay scale. Hondo, you have a salary pay scale. We all, this makes it much easier because you go, oh, this is where it's at. This is what I recommend. It doesn't mean you go up. You got a salary pay scale. That's what we meant. That's what we mean by three configuration pay scale.
And the job descriptions have,
Okay.
and the job descriptions have to show
Yeah.
qualifications for those jobs.
Like all of us here understand it, David. All of us here, I know where you started. We all started at the bottom somewhere. And nobody wants everybody to start at the bottom. When we have a pay scale, at least you are able to look at the person's experience and go with that.
Well, I just have one question on that one for you, Gina, because I do want to legitimately know. So when you have one employee that's doing 3 jobs with a pay scale, how are you paying?
What your job description say? You don't have one. Right?
Well, we don't.
But
Oh, where I'm at.
Yeah.
You gotta go by your job description. Because if you're going, when you've got to identify the duties and the responsibilities on there, and then years of experience, education, if there is any, but mostly, usually in municipality, it's experience in years. So you have to have those job descriptions to be able to to configure your pay scales at the same time.
and here's what you do with that person. He does 3 jobs. You have him through doing 3 jobs, right? You take those 3 jobs on your pay scale, you do an average, and there's your guy.
Come to the same, out of curiosity, how many employees we sure have?
We're budgeted for 84 and I currently have we're budgeted for 84. And we have currently 76. So our budget is $14 million. Cotulla's budget is 3 million. So yeah, ours is a bigger city. And the way I do the wage scale is now I'm using, because I learned from a wage scale that I was working with Dr. Whirling. Now I can use TML survey. Then I can compute the demographics, the job descriptions, and how much money we have in our budget. That's how we do it. And then I weigh each position. City secretary is different. Yours is different versus the front line. Okay. So there's different grades. And then I don't use steps. I use grades. And now we're going to give stipend. Well, we don't know yet. I'm not going to say that because I'm going to get in trouble. But we're considering stipends for class C, not D, class D and class A. Okay. And then my PD, not basic. It's going to be intermediate. It's going to be advanced and then masters. So they're going to get an extra. I can't give them the raise because there's going to be times that we're not going to have the money in that budget. So that's why when you do an incentive, it's to be able to say, okay, you know what? We have the money now. So we're going to give you this incentive. It's not going to happen every year. It might not happen every year.
Do you know how many water connections they have?
Okay.
How many water connections do they have in Pearsall?
Water connections, like the towers.
Actual customers connect.
Shit, I think it's over 3,000. And then we have gas is only, because it depleted, it went down to 700 and something. Yeah, I mean, yeah, so
The gas were at 1720, 1734. For gas, we're at 433.
yeah, because ours is depleting every single year. For the last 10 years, it's been depleting on gas because everybody's going electric. So unfortunately, I'm HR. Mr. Reyes makes me learn everybody's position. So I don't know I don't know everything, but he's pounding it on me. So, and it's good because I'm able to help here. So. But I don't know everything.
Good? Everybody? Any other questions? Mr. Flores, did we forget
So
it?
the next budget we bring before you
All right,
is not necessarily the final budget. It can be changed up until you all actually approve the budget. After that, we can amend the budget, so. So we'll bring a revised budget, sometime soon, before it comes.
all right. I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? And we're adjourned. I got the time.